Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Pasek of BarnBurner.ca. Welcome to a special edition of Fired Up Extra with Giancarlo Aulino and a special guest, Jimmy Korderas, former referee of the WWE, a special edition because 20 years ago today, May 23rd, 1999, Owen Hart tragically passed away. Jimmy, I believe you were supposed to wrestle or referee his match against the Godfather. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I was actually in the ring when the tragedy occurred.
Okay, take us through, first of all, before the match, because a lot of people read it and heard it online. Owen had a problem doing that, I don't know if you want to say stunt or whatever you want to call it, and then the night, and then just seconds after it happened, you were in the ring. What went through your mind? What went through? I remember Jerry the King Lawler was like panicking. That's when, before Jim Ross announced that he passed away, you could see it in Jerry Lawler's face, like something wasn't right.
Yeah. Well, during the day, it's funny because there was, I hate using the term funny. It was just strange because I didn't, people ask me, did you see him? So I didn't see any of that, and all I did was I got together with the guys and find out what the idea was for the match and what the finish would be and stuff like that. And we thought we had everything squared away, and then came time for the match. I went out to the ring, and they had just had a hardcore match prior. So what they did was they dimmed the lights and put a pre-taped interview with Owen as a Blue Blazer and Kevin Kelly on the Titantron for the live crowd to see, and for people at home, I'm listening too. And we were like busy trying to clear out some of the hardcore stuff out of the ring, like broken tables and trash can lids and all that kind of stuff. And I was kicking stuff out of the ring, moving towards that corner, and simultaneously I felt something brush against the side of my head, and the top rope snapped out of my hand, and there was a loud thud. And I didn't know what it was. I thought, because of the rope coming out of my hand, I thought the rope had broke, which happens occasionally, like from time to time. And so as I looked around, and I saw the rope was fine, so I couldn't understand it. And then I turned and saw Owen laying there, on his back, and just went over. I knew something was weird because obviously he wasn't supposed to be there, so I went over and called a couple of times, and there was no response, and I really started to panic and just started calling for help, and after that everything was like, I don't know, it was very blurry because now the ring is filling up and people are trying to attend to him, and I just didn't know whether I should just stay out of the way, or you know what I mean? You don't know what to do in that situation.
Now, they were heavily criticized for the show going on. 20 years later, what's your opinion? Should they continued with the show, or just because this, for me, sort of, even though it wasn't, I don't know what you want to say here because it never happened again, and hopefully never will happen again, but it's like a crime scene. So where were the cops saying, okay, everybody out of the arena?
Yeah, at the time I didn't even think of that. For me it was like, I was just concerned about, a friend at the time. Yeah. That was my main concern, and I didn't realize, all that stuff never occurred to me. But I ended up going to the hospital as well, so I didn't know any of the stuff that was going on backstage. But apparently, what I had been told, was that all the talent was asked if they wanted to continue with the show, because at that time, obviously, they hadn't got the news yet. If they said yes, and then they got the news, which Jim Ross broke on the air, and you can just tell must have been one of the hardest things he's ever had to do in his broadcast career, to inform the audience at home that Owen had passed. And then, It's a hard call. I mean, like you said, it's something that has never happened before in that industry, and it hasn't happened since, I guess, until recently when in England when oh my goodness, I feel bad because the name escapes me now. Just recently passed away in
Silver King. Silver King.
My goodness, yeah. How could I forget that? Like you don't expect these things, but it's easy for me to say in hindsight they should have stopped things, and then I try to justify it by saying, well, you watch NASCAR, and when there's a tragedy in NASCAR, they don't usually stop the race. They just I don't know. It's just it was just for me. I don't have a right answer, unfortunately.
So now let me ask you a question here before Giancarlo asks. What has 20 years later? What do you think they learned that day, or that they take from today? Because you never know, like wrestling is scripted or whatever, but the injuries they get are real. And I'm not saying this was an injury. This was a very tragic event and all that. And then, he propelled from the ceiling, and then they still have, in WCW, you still have Sting do it and all that. Or it's like, what a way to go out. I think he was 34 years old. And he was just starting, you can speak about this. Owen Hart, everybody was saying he was a river and he was one of the greatest guys and all that. Speak about Owen Hart as he was.
Owen was all those things. Owen was a gentle soul. He was a notorious river, as everybody who knew him could tell you, but none of it was malicious. You know what I mean? It was all good humor, all good fun. It was, he was just, but outside of that, his whole world was his family. Martha and Oj and Athena, his kids, that was his life. His family was his life. That's all as much as he loved wrestling, he did it for his family. That was the way he provided for them, So that's what I remember most about Owen, is being the guy who the family guy, and for me, family is very important. So maybe that's why we had such a good connection. Maybe
family is everything. Giancarlo, go ahead.
Yeah, and Jimmy, you mentioned what kind of a great person he was, and nobody has a bad thing to say. Like he's probably the only wrestler actually that nobody has a bad thing to say about. Joe and I had Ken Shamrock on a couple months ago, and he was telling us what kind of great person Owen is. Just what are some memories you have of him, like fond memories? Like what's a rib that he did maybe that stuck out to you as a really memorable memory of him?
Oh, so many ribs. He got me one time where, we were at, I wish I knew where, but anyways, we were in a hotel and the phone rings and the guy on the other end says, yes, this is the front desk. I just want to let you know that your credit card has been declined. You're going to have to come down and straighten it out. And I'm like, dude, it's 2:30 in the morning. Can we not do this in the morning, when I check out? He says, no, we have to take care of this right away, and you have to come down. I said, okay, here I come. I put on like a pair of shorts and a T-shirt, and I'm downstairs. I go to the front desk, and I said to the guy, he says, can I help you? I said, yeah, you called my room. He says, I did? I said, yeah, you called my room and my credit card and all this stuff. And I said, no, sir, everything seems to be in order. I have no idea what you're talking about. And then, it's 2:30 in the morning, so you're kind of like, oh, okay. So he got me. Yeah, but what for me the best rib that was ever played by Owen was I don't know if you remember years ago there was a hog pen match.
Yes.
Between Henry Godwin and Triple H.
Yes.
And the people that they had rented the pigs from were delivering the pigs to the arena, and they had just pulled up in a truck with the pigs in the back, and the guy gets out of the truck and says, hey, who do I talk to about, where do you want me to, drop off and put these pigs? And Owen happened to be in the area and says, oh, follow me. So he escorts this guy with his pigs and puts all the pigs in Vince's office. So Vince is in the production meeting, and he has no idea what's going on. There's a bunch of pigs running around in his office. So after the meeting, he gets to his office. He walks in. He's not in there like 10 seconds. He comes out screaming, "Owen!" He knew right away who it was.
I just wanted to ask you this, Jimmy, because you mentioned also he's a family man, and recently, WWE are known to mend fences and bring people together, and this is a different situation. Like Martha and Bret Hart don't seem to, since then, see eye to eye. And what do you think it would take for WWE to be able to recognize Owen Hart's achievements in the ring again? Like, how do you think they can all come together, or is there even a possibility?
I think there's always a possibility, but that all depends on Owen's widow, Martha. I think WWE would love to recognize Owen for his contributions to the business because he contributed so much, and they loved him too. But out of respect to Martha, who doesn't want that's the reason why. So I think they're respecting her wishes, and hopefully maybe one day she'll allow that for all the other people who loved Owen. See him get recognized the way I think he should be. He should be a member of the Hall of Fame, whatever you think of the WWE Hall of Fame or any Hall of Fame, Wrestling Hall of Fame. He should be in all of them. And hopefully one day she'll be okay with it. But again, it's all up to Martha.
Jimmy, let me ask you this. You talked about Silver King, but just this past week, former WWE diva at that time, Ashley Mazzaro, passed away. Any thoughts on her? Were you refereeing when she was around there?
Yeah, I remember her well. She was just a sweet girl. I mean, like, she was in an era where they were called divas, of course, but she was really nice. She was really sweet and almost too nice for the wrestling business. I hate to put it that way, but just reading the circumstances around her passing, it's sad. It's sad for anybody, but it's especially sad when you know the person too. And I don't want to turn this into a public service announcement, but when people are feeling depressed and feeling certain things, reach out. There are people, reach out to friends, reach out to family, and if not, there are places you can reach out to. So if anybody's experienced any depression or issues, please find someone to reach out to.
All right, Giancarlo, ask your last question.
And Jimmy, you were a part of WWE for, unfortunately, two passings, like Owen Hart and then Eddie Guerrero. And on WWE programming, they do those tribute shows on the Monday Night Raw and the SmackDown. As someone who was a part of that, do you think talent should be given that week off and WWE should just show video packages just to help the talent cope with it? Or do you think those tribute shows help them deal with the loss of a coworker?
No, those shows definitely help. I could especially attest to the Eddie show. The one that we did after Owen passed away was purely voluntary. Everybody who appeared on the show was asked if they wanted to, and everybody who did appear did it because they wanted to do it for Owen. And it's the same thing with the Eddie show. It was all, none of the matches on any of those tribute shows were storyline driven. It was just two guys who wanted to go out there and perform for their fallen comrade, and just in a tribute to them. The one that sticks out for some reason in my mind was it was supposed to be good. I guess it was the Godfather and Road Dogg were supposed to have a match, and they decided not to, and they just said, we're just going to go back and celebrate. Stuff like that. I think it helps the talent, because if you step away from it and you kind of seclude yourself, this way you're around everybody who knew him, everybody who loved him, loved these people, and you can kind of, it helps in the grieving process to be with the people most affected, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, very well said. All right, that's Jimmy Korderas, former WWE referee. Jimmy, tell everybody how they could get a hold of you, and everybody should check out Aftermath.
Yeah. On Twitter, it's at Jimmy Korderas. On Instagram, at Real Jimmy Korderas, because somebody stole the Jimmy Korderas thing. But anyway, Aftermath Tuesday nights at 7:30 on Sportsman 360, right before SmackDown, with the Nugster, AC, as we call him, the former Santino Marella, and Caroline Shved. We like to refer to ourselves as wrestling's version of the Talking Dead, if that makes sense.
Well, that makes sense. All right. Thank you for sharing your memories of Owen Hart. Owen passing away 20 years. Can you believe it's 20 years, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's incredible because some stuff is still so vivid in my mind, and other stuff I don't recall at all. Like, for example, I'll give you a quick example before you go.
Yeah.
The day after we were in St. Louis, I don't remember going from Kansas City to St. Louis. I don't know if we drove. I don't remember if we flew. I don't remember if we were on a bus. I just don't remember getting from Kansas City to St. Louis. It's just not there.
Wow. Well, nobody will ever forget that sight on May 23rd, 1999, part of the Over the Edge pay-per-view. Owen Hart tragically passing away. Thank you, Jimmy.
No, my pleasure, guys. Anytime.